that's Mario. Oh, can you just cancel it? Oh, can you just cancel it a second? Hello, welcome to Geeks Unleashed. It's episode 114. I'm Mark.
I'm Jasmine.
And each episode on the Geeks Unleashed podcast, we talk about our current sort of viewing, reading, or playing geeky habits while mixing in a review of comic book movies or TV shows every week.
Yep. And before we get started, if you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much. We appreciate that. We would also like it if you would like this video and subscribe to our channel. If you are listening on your favorite podcast platform, we appreciate that as well. We would also very much love it if you would leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Podchaser.
So also, I forgot about that. Ko-Fi. If you would like to donate some money towards Geeks Unleashed, we'd appreciate
Buy us a coffee.
Anything you may want to give us. Okay. Anyway, we're going to cover too much. We're going to keep this episode kind of short this week. But there is one thing we want to cover, and that is, well, before we jump into it, there was a Super Bowl.
Mark knows nothing about this. It's not really his cup of tea, so to speak. But yes, we did have a Super Bowl. We got a brand new Flash trailer during the Super Bowl, and it pains me to admit this trailer is actually pretty good. Like, I think this is a really good trailer. It definitely made me want to see this film. So yeah, I'm gonna take a look at that Flash trailer, and it was supposed to be called Flashpoint, but I'm pretty sure it's just called The Flash.
Yeah, it's just called The Flash now.
Yeah. Here we go.
Sounds like Mario again. Oh, I can't hear it.
Oh, you can't? Oh, hold on. Sorry guys, technical difficulties. Let me figure this out. Oh, that's why. My bad. Okay. Think I got it now. All right, here we go again.
Tell me something.
Now can you hear
it? Yeah.
Okay.
Another timeline. Another universe.
Like, I know that the reveal hasn't happened yet, but like, it's just so exciting to hear Michael Keaton's voice.
Oh no.
This one. Because this is the world where my mom lives. I'm not gonna lose her again.
Oh, drama with the fam. They recast his dad? I totally missed that.
That it can't help reliving.
His dad in the Justice League was Billy Crudup.
Oh, okay. I hadn't realized.
Oh, interesting.
It's my face. You stole my face.
If you were
to go in the past,
you have no idea what the consequences can be. Bruce, I could fix things. You could also destroy.
Oh my God, they got Batfleck back.
This can't be happening.
The sword thing I was the most surprised about.
Yeah.
Sorry. We've been waiting for you.
I created a world with no metahumans. And now there's no one to defend us.
Want some help?
I'm just like so giddy about Michael Keaton back as Batman. Like, for real, he's my favorite Batman.
You are?
Yeah. I'm Batman.
Ah, so exciting!
That looks like Christian Bale's.
Yes, it does. Like, I can't tell if that's Ben Affleck's Batman or Christian Bale's Batman.
If I can't get
or Matt Reeves' Batman.
There might not be a future. What's the play? Batman, what do we do?
We try not to die.
It's not Clark.
My name is Kara.
I'm Barry. We're Barry. Barry, what are you doing?
Our kids are gonna want to see this.
Honestly, this really looks pretty good. I can't even like be upset about it.
I personal thoughts, I think it does look really good. Just a caveat, we're not going to talk about
Yeah, we're not gonna talk about that guy.
we're not going to talk about the personal lives of these people, but
Yeah.
I personally think it looks amazing. I didn't realize they'd go down all of it. So we knew for ages that Michael Keaton was coming back.
Mhm.
There was potential that Ben Affleck was coming back. I don't think Ben Affleck is going to be in a great chunk of the film.
Well, they said that they removed the Superman and Wonder Woman cameos, but they kept Batfleck. That doesn't make any sense to me. Like you remove. Well, I mean, I guess removing Superman makes sense since you plan to recast. But like, why would you have removed the Wonder Woman one if you kept Ben Affleck? I don't know. I don't know. I don't understand what DC is thinking.
Well, I'm assuming that I don't know. I said this before ages ago, but obviously I was slightly wrong with my guess. I said that I reckon that at the end of the Flash movie would have a new Batman. I thought they'd bring in Matt Reeves' Batman at the end.
I mean, couldn't that be Pattinson on the bike though?
Yeah, I mean, from what they've said is the Batman will stay separate, and obviously they said the Brave and the Bold. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess Pattinson could have a cameo in the craziness and the multi-world stuff, but I doubt it. I assume that what I'm assuming is that the Flash has gone back in time, changed history to get his mum alive. However, then the ramifications of that is he's got rid of all the superheroes somehow. I don't see how. To be honest,
that doesn't make sense to me either.
Yeah, I don't see how saving your mum leads to, But I guess.
But I mean, it's a different Earth, I guess. Like the Kryptonians are still around, but like there's no one with no Superman. I get we have a Supergirl, but like with no Superman, who's gonna stop the Kryptonians if we don't have any superheroes?
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm probably not thinking about it too deeply, but basically he goes back in time, changes it that his mum's alive. Somehow the butterfly effect that we end up with no Justice League essentially. Crazy that all the Themyscirians are gone,
But we still got Batman because he's just a rich dude.
But somehow we get Batman from a different Earth. So I don't know. I guess it'll be explained as the movie goes on.
Yeah.
But I would imagine what will happen is somehow that the Flash will have to go back and let his mum die.
Yeah.
I imagine that's maybe not as easy to do because otherwise you wouldn't go and fight Zod and everybody else, and then you just go back in time and let your mum die and put everything back. But I assume when he puts everything back, we'll have this new Earth with this new Superman, this new Batman. However, we'll have, I guess whoever James Gunn wants to keep. So, well, we know he's keeping Peacekeeper and he's keeping a bunch of others.
I mean, I can't imagine Peacekeeper showing up in Flash, but I mean, hey, you never know.
No, although Flash showed up in Peacekeeper for 2 seconds, but I don't know. I don't know how it's gonna happen, but I reckon they'll at least I don't know. They got to at least cameo the new Batman, surely, because if they're gonna show Ben Affleck at the beginning, surely you'd end it to show the ramifications with this new Batman at the end. Like, I don't know. Surely you would.
I don't know. Or are they keeping Batfleck? Like, is he the one that stays and everyone else changes? I don't know.
Well, I mean, unless they have Ben Affleck still around, but then now they show his son Damien or something like that. That could be a thing. But I don't think they're going to do that because I think James Gunn wants to put younger people in these roles.
If James Gunn wants to put younger people in these roles, we need a freaking Batman Beyond. Like in this, when we get introduced to Michael Keaton should have a protege, and that protege's name should be Terry McGinnis. And then we could have like a Batman Beyond.
They were gonna do a Michael Keaton Batman Beyond, but they've cancelled that. So,
but I want them to uncancel it.
Anyway, I guess we're gonna have to see. When does it come out again?
June. So it comes out actually, I think the same weekend as Across the Spider-Verse, or very close to it.
Okay.
Anyway, we're gonna have a busy June because I'm still, of all the things that we've seen so far that are coming out this year, I am most excited above all else for Across the Spider-Verse. Like, I'm so stoked for that one to come out.
I mean, the Flash, for me, I think the Flash is probably the movie from DC I'm the most excited about. I now would say of the Marvel movies that we're yet to see, probably the most excited to see the Marvels. So,
Okay, yeah, which they just pushed back. I don't know why.
Yeah. So they pushed that
I don't know
back.
if we should be nervous about that or not, but
It's not always a bad thing. But anyway,
yeah,
let's talk about our main event. So,
haha!
Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which came out 3 days ago. We're recording on the 19th. It came out on the 17th of February. So we're going to do this again. Based on the first appearance, Hank Pym, who appeared in Tales to Astonish 27, which came out in January 1962. And then he became Ant-Man in Tales to Astonish issue 35, which came out in September 1962.
And then we got the first appearance of Scott Lang, was the Avengers 181 in March of 79. And then Scott Lang's first appearance as Ant-Man was in Marvel Premiere 47, also in 1979.
Hope Van Dyne's first appearance as Hope Pym in A Next, issue 7, April 1999.
And Janet Van Dyne got her first appearance, Tales to Astonish number 44, in June of 63.
So joining the cast is Kang the Conqueror. His first appearance as Rama-Tut is in the Fantastic Four issue 19, October 1963, and as Kang in the Avengers issue 8, September 1964.
Ooh, Kang and a Fantastic Four connection. Come on, Marvel, make it happen.
So it was written by Jeff Loveness and directed by Peyton Reed.
It stars Paul Rudd, Evangeline Lilly, Jonathan Majors, Catherine Newton, Michelle Pfeiffer, David Dastmalchian, Katie O'Brien, William Jackson Harper, Bill Murray, Corey Stoll, and Michael Douglas.
As I said a minute ago, it's released February 2023, 17th February. Oh, running time 124 minutes. Completely went blank then. Sorry. Budget. Well, basically, we're not too sure, but I think around 200 million. So we're not entirely sure. So far, 3 days in, box office has made 100 million, and that's within 3 days. They've made potentially half their money back within 3 days. So
yeah, I'm saying it's tracking pretty well.
By the end of the week, they should have within the next 3, 4, 5 days, they've probably made their money back. Within a month, I would say 400-500 million. So
yeah, the last film made 620 some odd million. So I think this one is probably going to end up making more than the first two. So I'm going to say by the time that this film is done in theaters, it's probably going to make 700 million. My guess.
So summary from IMDb: Scott, Cassie, Hope, Hank, and Janet explore the quantum realm, where they interact with strange creatures and embark on an adventure that goes beyond the limits of what they thought possible. So,
dun, dun, dun.
Anyway, do you want to kick off this Phase 5?
Yes. So, welcome to Phase 5 of the MCU. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is the first film in Phase 5. Marvel has a huge slate for this year. Well, so far, we don't know if all of these things are actually going to happen this year. There are a few that are confirmed, and there are a few that they swear are confirmed, but we still don't have dates for yet. And then there are some that have seasons that we can expect these things to drop. So Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is the first film, Phase 5. Up next, we have What If, which is going to be on Disney+. Season 2 of What If, supposedly early 2023. Secret Invasion, still slated for early 2023 on Disney+. The next film we have is going to be Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. It's dropping May 5th, 2023. Then we have Loki, Season 2 on Disney+, sometime this summer. Still no date. We're also supposed to be getting Echo on Disney+ this summer. And then MCU-ish, we've got Across the Spider-Verse, which is Sony. That's dropping June 2nd, 2023. That one is confirmed. Next up on Disney+, Ironheart is supposed to be coming in the fall of 2023. Then Sony this movie was supposed to come out in January of this year, but Sony pushed it back to October of 2023, and that's Kraven the Hunter. I don't know anyone who's excited about that. Are you excited about Kraven?
No.
So we'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens with that one. Then
I'll come back to that Kraven the Hunter thing in a minute, but go on, carry on.
Okay, so then the next up we have the Marvels, which just got pushed back. They announced this week. It was originally supposed to come out in July, but it got pushed back to November. So now the Marvels is coming out November 10th, 2023. And then the last couple of things that are going to be on Disney Plus, supposedly winter. We've got X-Men 97 and Agatha Coven of Chaos. That's a lot of stuff going on for Phase 5.
So I
the
think
first part of Phase 5.
I think what they've said is that they recognize that during Phase 4 they put out too much content and it was really stuffed, and they've I think they're stepping back from that a little bit, recognizing that actually they put way too many TV shows out. Now
it was that COVID hangover. They were trying to do something.
Yeah, I think also you think about it, Disney Plus app was new. They were trying to, because when Disney Plus first came out, I'll be honest with you, I was on the verge of canceling it. There was nothing really on there.
Yeah.
It just felt like they just gathered up all their content from, their Disney Channel, from Netflix, from Amazon, whatever, and just thought, actually, we're just going to make the money directly, which is great.
Yeah. But at first it seemed like it was just appealing to the kids. It was like, all right, let's pull our entire Disney library onto Disney Plus. That way your kids have something that they can enjoy, but there wasn't much for adults at first.
No. And then they started to, and I think WandaVision was one of the first things that came out.
Yes, it was.
Kind of piqued my interest. I think The Mandalorian, and I started to get drawn in a bit, but I'll be honest with you, Disney Plus isn't something I go to regularly. I still probably do go to Netflix first and then Disney just to see if it's something I want to watch.
Okay.
Anyway, so I will sort of still look between the three, but what they have said is they recognize now they put out too much and now they need to maybe pull that back a bit. And a few sources have said the only real definite TV shows this year are Secret Invasion and Loki. So
that would not surprise me at all.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to come back to Kraven the Hunter. So I was having a conversation with a few of our Bad Batch friends the other day.
Okay.
Guys. One of our sort of thoughts were that actually, would you not love for Kraven the Hunter to be scrapped? Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 4 to come out, and maybe set years later, say 20 years has passed, and maybe it's a Kraven the Hunter movie. Spider-Man Tobey Maguire versus Kraven the Hunter, like more.
Is that season. A Spider-Man Rogue?
Yeah. This is a Spider-Man Rogue.
So I didn't know that. I would love that. Any excuse to have my favorite Spider-Man back, like, yes, I am down. Any excuse to put Tobey Maguire back in the suit.
Oh yeah, and we were saying as well that there was a rumor recently floating around that Andrew Garfield might come back for Spider-Man 3, Amazing Spider-Man 3, and potentially I've forgotten his name, Eddie Brock, Spider-Man, the actor.
Topher Grace?
No, not him. The guy who played Bane.
Oh my god, why can't I remember his name? Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy. There was a rumor floating around the other day that Tom Hardy and Andrew Garfield could be in Amazing Spider-Man 3. So
I love Tom Hardy as Venom. I'm sorry, I don't care what anyone says about how awful those movies are. Tom Hardy as Venom is so freaking funny to me.
Those movies aren't very good, but they are funny, but not always deliberately funny, but they are funny. I think an Andrew Garfield and Venom movie would almost feel like the same world.
Yes. Well, I think Andrew Garfield and Tom Hardy would play really well off of each other. I think that would be a really, really good, like, on-screen duo.
So anyway, come back to Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
This is the first one that Paul Rudd doesn't have a writing credit on.
No, I know. Yeah, I saw that before I went in. So actually, I'll summarize my thoughts first, and I'll go for yourself because I saw it yesterday, and that was on day 2 of it being out, and I think there must have been somebody must have got a chance to see it earlier because there was quite a lot of early reviews coming in, and I saw quite a few headlines about it not being overly well received so far, and seeing things about Rotten Tomatoes scoring and all this kind of stuff, and it was not giving me the best of feelings in terms of walking in. But then I also did think that there could be a combination of things here, people going in and not getting what they expected,
right,
or what they hoped for more than anything. I think it exactly was what I expected in terms of a movie, but maybe people were hoping for more of Ant-Man 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And I think it was fairly obvious from the trailers, from the direction of the Marvel Universe, that Ant-Man 3 was never going to be the same as Ant-Man 1 and 2.
Yeah, it couldn't be. This one is a hinge pin film, whereas the others were fit into everything else, and this one is the one that kicks off everything else.
Yeah, so I think Ant-Man 1 and 2 were nice. Yeah, they kind of, I don't know how to describe them really. They were kind of just nice family feels. They weren't vital
They weren't
necessarily.
heavy.
They weren't heavy. They weren't vital to the MCU. I think I said it in the last movie. I know Paul Rudd got sucked into the quantum realm, and then he came out, and his technology helped time travel to go and get the Infinity Gems, and he was quite vital to all of that. So, but obviously between Ant-Man 2 and 3, Endgame and Infinity War happened. Now they're all back, and Ant-Man 2 did lead into him saving the day. But as I said before, we could have easily, if they didn't have an Ant-Man films, they could have just written Ant-Man into, I don't know, an Avengers film or something. They would have figured something else out. Somebody else would have just created the time travel, or they would have done something in maybe Endgame where somebody's heard of Hank Pym, and maybe they just introduced Hank Pym in Endgame for argument's sake. Like there was ways around it, but these are nice films. Whilst not overly vital, they were enjoyable movies, the first two. And this film felt much more like a Guardians of the Galaxy or Thor movie.
Yes, it did.
And I was okay with that. Like, I had no issue with it. And it made me I always remember again, I've forgotten his name, the character Randy from Scream, the video about about the
if you're watching this, I guess I'm dead.
Well, yeah, but he says about the true trilogy always links to something you didn't know from the first film. Now, I think this film, whilst it was it's going to be very vital to launching phase 5 and having and potentially, I don't know where we're going, where Kang's big battle will be at the end of phase 6, so I don't know. I assume that's probably where we're going eventually. I think that this played into a couple of things. It was a good launch pad for phase 5, but also it was a true trilogy movie. So if you think about it, we've got Janet in the first one sent into the quantum realm. In movie 2, she's saved from the quantum realm. Of course, at some point we're going to have to go to the quantum realm, because even Paul Rudd in the first film goes to the quantum realm very briefly. So there's these stepping stones to eventually this quantum realm movie. So even if we didn't have the Kang stuff, I think the quantum realm would have been a movie that felt right putting it in this film. Now, with the bringing back of what's his name? Darren.
Oh my God, Darren. I did not see that coming. That was
I didn't see
so
that coming.
Funny.
I didn't see that coming at all. But when they obviously referenced him, when he reveals that he came from the first movie, I was straight away like, this is a true trilogy. This is bringing back stuff from the first movie, and we're just we're tying it up nicely together. And even like Cassie talks about how she had a sort of a bumblebee guy in her room when she was a kid. She mentioned that earlier on in the film. So again, well written here, the fact that they set these things up, because not everybody may have remembered 1 and 2. So I overall, I think this is exactly what I expected. I'm not really sure what all the moaning is about online. If you don't like the film, that's very different. But if you went in there expecting Lewis and the mum and dad and running around San Francisco.
I did miss Luis though. I'm not gonna lie.
I did. Yeah, Luis, I did miss him. Yeah, I did, and I hoped. I knew he wouldn't be in the whole film. I hoped there was going to be a cameo.
Yeah, a cameo or something. Right.
But I think they missed an opportunity at the end when they were all having cake for Cassie's birthday. I honestly think he should have been there. Now they obviously just didn't want to pay the money, so or they made timings, whatever. But I think this movie was exactly what I expected it to be: a quantum realm, big blockbuster movie. It was kind of almost like Avengers level movie. So it's what I expected, and I enjoyed it, to be honest. So what about you?
I definitely enjoyed it. I think it was a kind of go in, sit down, and just take in the spectacle kind of film. Because I had heard not so great things about it, it completely like diminished any expectation I would have had. So I went in thinking everybody else says that this movie is terrible, so can't be that bad, right? And because I went in with that mentality, I really, really enjoyed it. It to me though, like you said, it felt exactly like Guardians of the Galaxy. Like I was half expecting the Guardians to show up. Like it just had a Guardian vibe to it. The whole film felt like a Guardians film. And that kind of annoyed me just because Guardians is like my least favorite franchise within the MCU. But aside from that, I really liked getting to meet all the weird characters that are part of the quantum realm. It's nice to know that the quantum realm is not just this empty void of amoebas and things that don't actually, speak.
Mhm.
So it was
Yeah,
nice
yeah.
to see that they actually built a world down there. I enjoyed that part of it. But I don't know. There was only, I guess we can get to that later when we talk about scenes, but like there was really only one part that made me go, okay, this is dumb. And it kind of took me out of watching the film itself, but I enjoyed it. I thought the humor was nice. It was sparse. It was not as funny as the other two films, but when there was humor, I enjoyed it. Loved Michelle Pfeiffer's character. Loved Kang. I loved this. We got this like quiet, scary villain. And I think that's something that we don't have very much of in the MCU. A lot of the villains are just like big and eccentric and out there. I think them kind of toning it down with Kang is almost makes him scarier as a villain, and especially because there's like a bajillion of them, right? Like we see all of the different Kangs near the end of the film, and it's just like, okay, we had this one, and if he had this personality, like all of these other ones probably have different personalities, but like it's still a scary thought. Like he seems like a very kind of frightening villain, and I think like we haven't had that vibe. I would say the closest villain to Kang to me was Mickey Rourke's character in Iron Man 2. Like he was that kind of guy that was like big and scary, but like quiet. He had a quiet rage about him. And that's kind of what Kang feels like to me, where it's like, this is definitely the guy that I don't want to mess with just because you don't talk enough. Like all of the other villains like to monologue and they're really campy. But this guy is just like serious and he's dead set on what he wants. And so I think it's about time that the MCU has had a villain like that. I mean, we had Thanos, and Thanos was definitely very much like, no, you guys are messing up the universe and I'm going to fix it because I'm the only one that can. And I feel like Kang is very, very close to that, where he's just like all business. And I think if you're going to have a villain that spans across multiple films, that's the kind of villain that you need, because he carries that like scary weight behind him, even though he doesn't have to do much to do it. Like he's just intimidating because he is so quiet. So I really liked the way that they handled this variant of Kang. And I'm actually excited to see what the rest of Phase 5 does with this new information. So to me, if this is your first film of a new phase, I think it did a really good job of setting up the what if scenario in your mind as the audience, right? Like I think it left enough open to where you're curious to see what the effects of this film are going to have as we go on through the rest of the Disney Plus series and as we go on through the rest of the films. So, I mean, for that alone, I enjoyed it because I think above all else, it did a good job of setting up what happens next. I definitely walked out of the theater and I was like, ooh, I want to know what happens next.
You talked a lot about Kang and stuff, but I'm curious to know. We've said it in I keep going to say episode in film 1 and film 2 that these are very much ensemble cast, and this is again an ensemble cast, although they cut away a lot of the supporting cast from the first 2 movies and introduced other supporting cast members, including some crazy scenes by like Bill Murray, which was unexpected. I didn't know Bill Murray was going to be at this, but
that also made it feel more like a Guardians film.
Oh yeah, just to have a random famous person walk
exactly.
in. Honestly, there was so much about this made me think of Guardians. But just anyway. So, did you have a favorite character?
I would say my 2 favorite characters in this film, first would be Janet. I really liked Janet in this one because I like that she was so secretive about everything, and then it just kind of ended up blowing up in her face, right? Like she never expected to find herself back in the quantum realm, so she never thought there was a reason to explain everything that happened down there. But I also like that she was just like, well, I'm back, like fuck it, let me go find my old friends and figure this shit out. So I loved that she was just, look, I know I lied to you, but like we can save that conversation for another time. We have to figure out how the hell to get out of here. So I loved her character. And then my second favorite would probably be Jintora, who was like that the native quantum citizen. I don't know what you call the people down in the quantum realm. But I loved her and that staff that she had that like disintegrated Kang's soldiers. Like,
oh yeah,
she was super, super cool. I loved her. But yeah, I really thought that Janet's arc in this one was she was my favorite character, just because like watching the past and seeing her like now and how everybody was so upset that she didn't tell them all the details, like it made me wonder, like, what would I have done in that situation? So it was, to me, like, Janet's character was very easy to put yourself in that mindset, because then you think to yourself, like, if I was stuck in a place for 30 years and I came back, like, would I really tell everybody what happened for those 30 years while I was gone? So I don't think I would either.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I guess had you told them there'd be no film, so I had this conversation with actually Steph when we were doing The Last of Us on our weekly streams, and we were talking about characters that make stupid mistakes. And whilst Joel in The Last of Us is very good, we were talking about a stupid decision he made, but we did say, like, there's obviously in every media, TV, films, whatever, there's always, if the character doesn't make a stupid decision, a lot of the time you don't get the story that follows that. So Janet's stupid decision to not tell everybody to not look at the quantum realm,
or to not at least tell them about this big bad that was down there.
Well, I mean, they could have gathered an entire team. They could have actually got ready to go down there. If she'd have actually said, after Tony Stark's funeral, guys, look, I know there's this Thanos thing, but actually, look, we've got.
Let me tell you about this other guy.
There's this other guy called Kang, and actually, it potentially could be as big as Thanos. But no, actually, I'm not going to tell you guys. I'm just going to go and eat pastries and eat donuts and.
Well, to be fair, he did promise that he would not destroy her world.
Well, I think she'd ruin that. But no, my favorite character was actually Catherine Newton, who played Cassie. So,
oh yeah, she was good.
So the first time I ever came across Catherine Newton was in Supernatural when she played Claire Novak. So I've forgotten, Castiel's daughter. Well, kind of Castiel's daughter, the human host of Castiel's daughter. I loved her in Supernatural. Now, her acting back in Supernatural wasn't the strongest.
No one's is.
I was really heavily disappointed when the spin-off of Supernatural didn't get greenlit to be an all-female cast. Do you remember that?
But they did end up doing the Winchesters. They just didn't do the what was it called? The Sisters? The Wayward Sisters?
Yeah, the Wayward Sisters, that's what. And so she was going to be in the Wayward Sisters. And so I was disappointed in that. But anyway, then the next time I saw her was in a TV series which got cancelled, and it got cancelled because of COVID. They released one season of it called The Society. Do you remember this on Netflix? Did you ever watch it?
No.
So that was a kind of a riff on the Pied Piper. And this kind of follows the kids who get taken, and they get put in this sort of pocket dimension, or that's kind of what's very alluded to. Then it was never answered, and then season 2 was literally about to start filming, and then COVID happened, and because of all the new requirements and all the filming restrictions around daily testing and all the rest of it, and the costings that were just added, Netflix did cancel a bunch of things. But the reason why I'm highlighting these two things is then come back to this movie, and having seen her in Supernatural, where she was in 2014 when I first saw her, to now in 2023, her acting is so vastly improved, which it would, she's a young actress, so it's going to get better. Where, I
mean, you hope, right? Like she actually followed an upward track. Some people don't.
That's true. And But seeing that progress, I
Mhm.
really enjoyed. No, it's not not everybody that watched this film would have seen her in anything previously. She's going to be brand new to a lot of people. But
Mhm.
having seen her in those previous TV things, 6 episodes of Supernatural and 10 episodes in The Society, she's in other things as well, which I haven't seen, like Big Little Lies and stuff like that. One day I'll watch those. Anyway, to see her progression, firstly, was a massive tick to me. And I thought the fact that she handled herself so well with people like Paul Rudd and Michelle Pfeiffer and
Yeah.
all of these people are veterans on the big screen, and this
Yeah.
is, as far as I was aware, her first big screen outing, and she actually was the most
Well,
I
with
guess
like speaking roles, because she
inexperienced.
was in Infinity War. She was in one of the other
not,
films.
not the same actress, they recast.
Did they?
Yeah, so it was a different actress. So when he shows up at the end of when he shows up in Endgame and goes to his house,
Yeah.
and his daughter opens the door and was like, Dad, it was a different actress. They recast.
Oh, okay, okay.
However, even that was just a cameo role.
Mhm.
So they recast her between Endgame and this movie. So
Gotcha.
unfortunately, this is her first big screen. I always hate recastings. However, I'll be honest, when I heard
That
about
one
this
worked well, though.
recasting,
Yeah.
I was really pleased with this. I thought she did well. And I
Yeah.
love the fact that she did have a suit, and I loved the chemistry between her and Paul.
Yeah.
Where Paul Rudd was kind of educating her, or a little bit giving her some infield training, which I thought was cool. Because if
Yes.
you think about 3 films ago, it was the Wasp telling him,
Yeah.
and now he's telling her and passing that knowledge on.
Yeah.
And kind of, you've got to think about also Paul Rudd's growth as well across the 3 films. But I thought she handled herself so well as an actress, seeing her growth from what I'd seen over the last 10 years of her, and handling herself with sort of veteran actors and actresses. I thought she handled herself really well, and I loved how. Now, talk about the character. I loved how, like, the sort of the spunk of this character.
Yeah, definitely.
Just like her, just seeing her feistiness, and that her first opening scene is that she's in the slammer,
Yeah.
and like
The slammer.
for like father like daughter.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they're having this family meal like afterwards, and like everybody knows.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
and
yeah,
it's-
I thought that was funny too. It was just like, wait a minute. Well, actually, Janet didn't know either. She didn't know that they were working on quantum stuff. So her and Scott were surprised. Whereas I thought it was like, to me, I love the interaction. Like, they are a blended family, but they like Scott's daughter spends more time with Hope and Hank than she does with her own dad. You know what I mean? Like, it's just this super interesting dynamic, how they just absorbed Cassie like she was one of their own, like with no questions asked or anything. So I love that. I love their family dynamic.
Yeah, I thought that was cool as well, how she fit in with Hank and Hope as well. Like, and they had this secret little club. He's like, what's going on here?
Yes, exactly.
So but anyway, I thought she's brilliant. She's a real standout for me. There's other characters I thought were good too, but she stood out for me. Like I say, the growth as an actress, and the character I loved. So I just thought it was great. So and yeah. Well, anyway, let's talk about the actual structure of this movie. So you touched on it a minute ago. The writing, first movie, not written by Paul Rudd. Did you feel you noticed that?
Only in the sense that there was not as much humor. Like there were pieces of humor that were spread throughout, but it didn't have that funny bone thread like the first 2 films did. I think this one had to have the heavier tone. And I think they had to have the kind of writer that could give Kang a big enough introduction that would carry over to the rest of the film. So I can see why they would have taken Paul off the writing for this one. But it doesn't, like, I don't think that it's detrimental. Like, again, it just feels like a leveled up version of an Ant-Man film. It's still, it does have a Guardians feel, but it is still an Ant-Man film. So it doesn't feel like you lose any of Paul Rudd's sort of quirkiness throughout the film, but it does just feel like it has a heavier tone. I did enjoy the writing. I enjoyed the backstory that we got between Janet and Kang when they first wound up in the quantum realm together. So I think the writing is done well. I think it does well to actually set up a story versus just telling the story that is happening right now. I think the writing here does a really good job of giving you what's happening now, but also driving you in a specific direction.
I think actually they structured this movie well. I love that the opening scene is Janet, And she just pans over and sees Kang laying on the floor in the quantum realm,
Yeah.
and he saves her life. And then it comes to sort of current day.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was good as well, because this is the Ant-Man and the Wasp film, which we know is Paul Rudd and Angelina Lilly movie, and really Hank Pym and Janet are side characters. Whilst part of the main cast, they are not the stars of the movie, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I thought it was cool to have an opening scene that is Michelle Pfeiffer driven, and obviously we know Michelle Pfeiffer is an extremely strong and versatile actress. So to start with her was a good strength on their point, and I think they did a lot, like you say, to set things up. Even the whole MODOK setting up. They have they have Cassie mentioned him earlier on in the film. There's a lot of setup, and we're not going to talk about Wonder Woman 2, but just the craziness of the random things that Wonder Woman 2 would just go, oh yeah, by the way, I can do this.
Yeah, let me just turn this plate invisible.
Because I can do that.
So dumb.
Anyway, but there was none of that silliness of just like, oh, randomly here's Derek. It was, they had setups of that. Although they went back and flashed back to the first movie, I would say this as well was a much more overall serious film. Now, I say that knowing that a lot of the characters we meet in Quantumania are very silly looking, and there is humor, which I would say is very Guardians of the Galaxy. Honestly, it felt very much like a James Gunn.
It did.
Well, not a James Gunn film. It felt like James Gunn had a hand in it. Now, I don't think he did for a single minute, but it felt like that world. But yeah, I think they handled the balance, and we've talked about this previously. They handled the balance between serious and comedy very well.
Yeah,
probably why they had to pull Paul Rudd's humor back a little bit, because there was a lot to do.
Well, really, you can't have him being like funny all the time, in addition to all of these funny looking aliens. Like, it just would not have worked.
It would have become more of a comedy. So they probably said, look, Paul, we're going to have to step back your one-liners, and so really, Paul, you're just going to have to be an autopilot for this movie. So, did you have any favorite scenes in this movie?
I don't know. It's hard to pick. I think I really enjoyed all of the world building that they did in this one. I enjoyed just being in the quantum realm. So I don't know that I really have any. I do have a least favorite, but I don't know if I have any like favorite
I guess that
scenes.
Could be where I normally say, would you cut anything? So, anything?
Okay, the scene that really just kind of took me out of the moment, and this is probably because Jonathan Majors had been training for the Creed 3 film, so he had the heavyweight boxer body under his Kang suit. But when Kang and Ant-Man are fighting at the end of the film, I was like, there ain't no way Paul Rudd is taking a punch from Kang and gonna get up and keep talking. Like, I'm sorry, that's just not gonna happen. So like that whole sequence of the two of them like fist fighting at the end, I was like, this doesn't make any sense, because I mean, one punch from him and you would have been out. Like, I'm not buying you going tit for tat with him. Like, because like by then he gotten like attacked by the ants, and so his suit was all ripped, and you could see all of his like actual muscles. His whole arm was about the size of Paul Rudd's leg. Like, there is no way you getting hit with that arm and getting back up. I'm sorry. So that was, I mean, I understand why they had to have the one-on-one fight, but I think I would have found a way to kind of do that differently, just because like it took you right out of, to me, it took me right out of the moment, just because it was like Jonathan Majors' body type is like entirely too, I don't know. It's like if somebody took a punch from the Juggernaut and got back up. You know what I mean? Like, nobody's taking a punch from Juggernaut and getting back up. That's not possible. Like,
I guess he's not as big as a Juggernaut, but like, I guess all I can think is Paul Rudd got him going was his daughter, and and the adrenaline and stuff like that. So
I mean, but still, like it just took me out of the moment. Like, and that's saying a lot. Like, of all the alien crazy, like the broccoli man, there was a guy that looked like broccoli in this film, and that was okay. But like Kang and Ant-Man fist fighting, I was like, no, man, I'm not buying that. But I'll buy the broccoli guy.
I don't know. The one thing I didn't really like was the whole probability storm, where he had multiple Paul Rudds and multiple Angelina Lillies, and I'll be honest, that for me just felt very silly. don't know.
I don't know. I kind of like the Baskin Robbins guy.
I don't know what I would do to replace it, but I just felt it was very silly. Like sometimes I guess you've got to have silly in films like this, but
Yeah.
For me, I do love the end scenes. I know you just talked about that fight with Kang versus Ant-Man, the fist fight at the end. I thought that was cool for them just to walk out the door and say goodbye to the quantum realm and still leave Kang hanging around. It was very open, and you know, Kang would have been more driven than ever to have got out of there. So
Yeah,
I think that for him to get caught at the end and have a fist fight with him, and potentially he is dead, but we don't know, because even Paul Rudd had a moment later on going, well, is he dead?
Yeah.
So
I don't think he's dead. I think he just got shrunk with the core.
I don't think he's dead.
But I don't know. All the other Kangs seem to think that he is dead. So
I don't think so. So he was the only one they referred to as Kang the Conqueror. So
yeah. Dun dun dun.
We'll see. So right, okay. So the film ends, everybody gets home nicely. They have a nice little fake birthday for Cassie. They don't bring back Lewis or anybody that we knew from the first two films, which is unfortunate, but everybody we knew from these films is
Although David Dastmalchian did do one of the voices of the aliens or of the quantum people.
I didn't realize that.
I think he was the holes guy.
Okay. Well, they should have got them all back. They should have had a alien, like a quantum realm.
Yeah, exactly.
Lewis.
A quantum realm Luis. Oh my god, that would have been hilarious.
So funny.
A tour guide, a quantum tour guide, Luis, that just gets you lost. Like that would have been so good.
That would have been hilarious. Or they just brought Lewis with them.
Oh man.
So, but anyway, and I honestly thought so. This when it ties up. Paul Rudd's back. He's buying a cake from the guy who
fired him.
From it. Yeah. Do you know what? I think it's funny they brought back the Baskins Robin guy from the first film. So again, part of a trilogy.
Everybody that wants to shit on horror movies, like Scream, really, really, really is iconic in the way that it understood how film works. So y'all stop talking smack about Scream. Scream is fantastic.
So when Paul Rudd's walking down with his cake after he's gone to Baskin Robbins, he's reflecting on the recent events, probably writing his next novel in his head, and
look out for the little guy.
And it dawns on him that is Kang dead or not, and then he's well, don't worry about it, carries on.
Yeah.
Now I can imagine Paul Rudd being a bit like that. Well, sorry, Scott Lang being a bit like that, but I hope that maybe he does tell somebody.
Yes, let's hope he doesn't do what Janet did, and he like reaches out. Maybe I don't know if he can. Well, I mean, he can't call Cap. Cap has decided that Cap is not doing that. Maybe he reaches out to like Falcon or something.
Yeah. So, well,
like, hey man, I don't want to alarm you, but
Falcon is now Captain America. So
very true.
So anyway, the movie ends. The movie ends, and there's two scenes, which we'll talk about in a second. Now, before these two scenes happened, I didn't, because obviously it was out for a day before I went, and it probably was online somewhere. I didn't look them up. I was hoping for the mid-credit scenes. I had some hopes. I'm going to tell you my hopes before we talk about them.
Okay.
And I'm not disappointed, by the way, with these two scenes. But I hope that one of those scenes might have been Lewis. Like,
yeah,
I honestly hope that it was Lewis recapping the film.
Yes. Oh my God, that would have been great.
So I was hoping that it would have been Lewis, like running into somebody saying, "Do you hear about my guy Paul?" Who like whatever, like, and, you know, runs through the whole Quantumania.
Okay, so check this out.
Yeah, so check this out. Yeah, my boy Paul, he's in the basement. Blah blah blah. Like, and then he goes down, and then he shrinks. Like honestly, I honestly thought if they do that, that would be absolutely brilliant. Didn't do it. What an unfortunately really badly missed opportunity. Such a missed opportunity. Although what would be cool is the next film that is impacted by Kang, they should just have Lewis in to like recap it for
at the very beginning, like right after they roll that Marvel opening sequence, like just it starts with Luis.
Yeah, they just roll Lewis out. They're like, "Who's this guy?" They're like, "Oh." Anyway, so that's one I was hoping for. The other one I was hoping for was some sort of Paul Rudd, just like, even if it was just him walking into the store and bumping into Shang-Chi.
Oh yeah, that would have been good.
So I was hoping those two things, because they're both in San Francisco. So I didn't assume that they would be massive world building events. So normally the mid-credit scenes they can be world building, setting up the next one, or sometimes they can just be stupid, funny things. And I I didn't think they were going to be setting up anything further. I just thought they were going to be funny. So I thought Lewis and Shang-Chi, brilliant. Like, or both. Lewis meeting the Shang-Chi guy. Did you hear about my guy Paul?
Oh my God.
My guy Scott. Sorry, like that would have been brilliant actually if Lewis.
If they had been on the bus together and somebody was like, "Hey, aren't you the guy that destroyed the city?" And he's like, "No, that was that bug guy." And then Luis is like, "Hold up, wait a minute. What are you talking about, that bug guy?"
So like that would have been funny. Like just that brilliant. But anyway, first mid-credit scene was a bunch of Kangs. Do you want to go through that?
So that one was like a meeting of Kangs. So they are essentially, they're kind of like watchers. Like they are watching all of these timelines. And I guess it's three big ones, right? They come together and they're like, oh, yo, look, he's dead. Okay, now that he's dead, let's get together and let's figure this out. And some of the other guys are like, yeah, but like, how do you know he's dead? They're like, well, I mean, we're gonna figure it out. And then it just kind of pans to this gladiator arena type thing, and everyone in the audience is a version of Kang, or a variant of Kang rather. So it's just like, it gives you this sense of you beat one of them, but how bad is the one that you beat compared to the ones that are left? Is like the question it leaves you with. So it's like, there are some silly Kangs in there, and they look like they're having a good. They look like the drunk guys that sit in the nosebleed seats at sporting events, right? Like they were just sitting there giggling and slapping each other, right? But like, I don't know, it still had this really ominous vibe about it, like because Kang had told Ant-Man, like, you think I'm the bad one? Like, I'm doing this to stop them. They are the ones that banished me, but I was doing good work. Even though, you know, I'm killing trillions of people in the process, like I was doing good work and they banished me. So when I get out of here, I'm going after them. So if the guy that you just fought was upset at these guys, like how bad are these guys? You know? So it just kind of puts you in this frame of mind, like, I don't know, it's the devil you know versus the devil you don't, right?
I mean, the thing is, it's going to be ultimately that you can't have either of them because, well, yeah, we've got Kang the Conqueror who, like you say, kills trillions of people, and then we've got these people that might also kill trillions of people, or we don't know much about them yet, but ultimately they all need to go. So, so I want to know though, because obviously if this is, as we know, at the MCU is set on Earth 616, where is 616 version of Kang? Anyway, so the post-credit scene is, I'll be honest, I was shocked, did not expect
I was not expecting this at all.
Like at all. This did not even, I thought now that Loki was in the TV world, that Loki was kind of done. I assumed that they killed him off in Endgame, Infinity War, and I thought, okay, yeah, Loki's been hived off into his own TV show, that they won't bring him back, but this does now show how vital these TV shows are,
right?
And they're not like our Netflixes or Agents of Shield. They are
connected, yes.
So
because we first meet Kang in Loki, a version of Kang.
A version of Loki. What was that version called? They called him something else, didn't they? They didn't call him Kang.
Timekeeper, or he was some kind of time something. I don't remember.
Remember now. It's annoying now.
But I think like that scene with Loki, so I wasn't expecting that, but Loki and Mobius are
he who remains.
Oh, He Who Remains. Okay.
Yeah.
So he was interesting.
Yeah, He Who Remains was more of a good one-ish.
Yes. Yeah.
But there was something again ominous about him.
Yes.
And he very much was foretelling about something coming too. So
right.
So at the very end we see another version of Kang, probably set in like
Victor Timely. It's like the 1800s or something.
Yeah, like late 1800s or something like that. And we see Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson, who played Mobius and Loki, sitting in the audience. And Mobius, aka Owen Wilson, turns to Loki and says, "Is this the guy?" Like, you know, he's shocked. Like, "Is this him?" And Loki's like, "Yeah." And that's how it ends. It's a very, very quick scene.
But it still had a lot of emotional impact, because if you look at the expression on Loki's face, Loki is terrified of the guy standing up there on that stage. And that says a lot coming from Loki, for Loki to be scared of someone. And I thought that was, even though it was a really, really short scene, that had a lot of power, because if Loki is scared, that is concerning to me. Like, me as a viewer, and to see Loki scared of someone, I'm like, oh shit, like, Okay, so we have really only scratched the surface with this character of Kang and all of his variants, but like for Loki to be in the audience looking at a version of Kang and telling Morbius, he's like, no, I swear, like this guy, because Morbius is like, he doesn't look that scary, and Loki is like, that's exactly why he's so terrifying. But that to me was really good. It was so subtle, but it was really good. It's like a really good way to set up like this is not over. This is
maybe that is our Marvel 616 version of Kang. So
maybe.
There's one thing I want to say before we finish this. So when I went to the cinema yesterday, I've seen every Marvel movie, MCU, and I've seen every TV show. I think I have. I didn't see that stupid MODOK cartoon, but other than that, I
thought it was a really neat twist to put Darren in the MODOK suit.
That was a good to make that the MCU's version of MODOK. That was pretty cool. But no, so I went to the cinema. Like I say, I've seen all the movies and all the TV shows. I went with my neighbor who dips in and out, and he hadn't seen Ant-Man 2, and he hadn't seen Endgame or Infinity War or the Loki TV series. I know.
How would you even go to the movies if you haven't seen the Snap? That doesn't make any sense.
So I asked him if he wanted to go, and he said yeah. And then I said, "But have you seen, Ant-Man 1 and 2?" And he went, "I've seen 1." I went, "Okay." And then I said, "Have you seen Endgame and Infinity War?" No. I mean, are you sure you want to go? Because a lot of these things kind of fall into this. Yeah, be fine. And he watched it, and he sort of said he didn't really enjoy it. He said it was okay. He said like more from a point of view is he liked the style of Ant-Man 1 and 2 and not Ant-Man 3, because he said it was very much like a space adventure, and I think this is where a lot of the people have been not too keen on it. They didn't like the space adventure type thing. Now, I imagine if they do an Ant-Man 4, it probably will be back to the caper style movies, but this movie was needed. Anyway, I explained a lot to him on the drive home. I was trying to tell him about the Loki TV series, Endgame, etc. I was trying to fill in a lot of the pieces for him. And you know that whole meme that goes around about the Marvel fans sitting down for the latest film in 2035 has now had to watch 47 movies or 307, whatever it is, and 18 TV shows to understand the current thing. And I feel like that Loki scene really now relies on almost the goodwill of your fan base to actually go and do this research, because there's going to be a lot of people that didn't watch that Loki TV series and were like, what? Loki's alive. Like I saw, they might be like, I only saw Avengers and he died. Like, so, however, I guess the other thing is they're hoping that people also may not have watched Loki and don't have Disney Plus and may go subscribe. So,
I mean, that's possible, but I still think like if you haven't seen like all the individual things, like I still am behind. I have still not seen Doctor Strange 2, but I feel like for a world like this, you have to have at least kept up with the Avengers films. Even if you don't watch the individual characters, like if you said, oh, I never saw Civil War, or, oh, I never saw Ant-Man 2. Okay, fine. But like you've seen Avengers 2 and, Endgame and Infinite, like how could you continue without seeing the big ones? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Right. Anyway, we'll bring it to a close. I haven't actually thought this through right now, but out of 5, what would you give it?
I'm gonna go ahead and give this one a 4.
You know what? I think I'm gonna give it a 4 too.
I enjoyed it. I think it does a good job of setting it up, and I think that's why it gets the extra bonus points.
They handled everything. They handled everything well. I'm, I can't fault this movie really. There's the odd thing that but there's the odd thing in every movie. Anyway, next episode we're going to be reviewing Werewolf by Night. Going to be a bit of a smaller episode next week.
Yeah.
But anyway, come back for that. Follow us on Geeks and follow us on social media. We are Geeks Unleashed everywhere: Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
And you can get this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Google, Podbean, Apple, Spotify. We are everywhere. So please leave us a 5-star review and tell your geeky friends.
Thank you very much. Good journey.
Good journey.